Coming up, in the absence of Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, 3 players that need to step up for the New Jersey Devils. We dive in next. Yes, sir. It's DPL, the Devil's Puck Luck Podcast, where we are your host. Over here, Adam Armbrecht. Over there, Danny McDonough. We thank you for coming in on the action with us as we continue a very busy week here. We came in yesterday. Go check out the full breakdown, not only the Avs game, but some of the issues that the Devils are struggling from. We're going to have an isolated preview episode around the Friday night game after we see the practice session on today, Thursday, so we know exactly what to expect. Maybe some new pairings, new switches here for Lindy Ruff. But as we teased you in our last episode, Danny, we wanted to talk about 3 players that need to step up. Now, you had 3 players. I threw in a 4th, which was Timo Meier. Let's start with the Alexander Holtz of all of this, because I think this will be informed by today's practice. But when you mentioned through text when we were talking, watching that Avs game, you wanted him to be elevated, maybe all the way to the top line here right out of the gates. I'm not against it because I believe in the kid, but I'm against it from the standpoint, I almost said in a sense, from the standpoint that you've already shuffled him around so much. Like, to now, in the absence of Jack, say, okay, now you pick up the slack. I think you need to look to some other veterans here first before you go to this player who's having a nice season for himself. We can make a case of elevating him from the 4th line, but I wouldn't go all the way to the top.
I understand your point.
Danny is on the show, by the way. I know that I spent that was all me to start. I did cold open, intro, a lot of me. No, Danny, now you go.
Listen, I agree,
Danny,
and I disagree.
Please go ahead.
I agree and disagree.
In your own time.
Here's why I disagree. I disagree because I think it's going to be a confidence builder if he's on that first line. Let me preface this by saying I don't think Lindy Ruff is going to do it. I would love to see it, but I don't think he's going to do it. But Palat has sucked on the first line. Well, let's call a spade here. Palat has been bad. Palat has turned the puck over. He's not producing offensively. He's more of a third-line player. Let's put him where he belongs to be, and let's put Alexander Holtz in a position to succeed, which we've always talked about throughout the season. He has made a little bit of a home for himself on the 4th line. He's gotten comfortable on the 4th line. I want this kid to succeed, but it comes to the point where you have a dynamic. To me, he has a dynamic shot. He has a very good wrist shot. He can get the puck off quickly. He can get into that open ice quickly. Yes, he's going to be a little bit of a liability defensively, but why not now? Why not now against the Washington Capitals team who is not that strong goaltending-wise and defensive-wise? He's going to get some chances on Friday night against the Caps. Why not try it? He's a guy I want to see step up if he's put in the position to step up.
Yeah, and I think, I guess it's funny for me because when we were debating this in the offseason, you didn't want him near those top lines now. But it's not, this isn't a 1-to-1. I'm not busting your chops because now you're missing key offensive players. So you have to look at it a little bit of a different way. And you're right too, against the Caps, like there's something there, like maybe situationally matchup wise, when it feels like it's ripe for a big offensive night for the team collectively. Why not let Holtz go ahead and get that opportunity? I wonder if Lindy Ruff is going to be willing to make those types of shuffles. So you also mentioned Palat there, who hasn't stepped up. And I think that to me too is like expectations versus experience. We talk about this Brendan Smith defensively. Well, don't put Brendan Smith on your number 1 defensive pairing. That's not what he is. Don't put Palat up there. That's not what he is. Now, he's a veteran and you want him to be able to anchor that a little bit. But I turn my attention, and we said this coming out of last episode, Timo Meier, to me, again, he's looked far better over the recent stretch than he did early in the season when he was sat down by Lindy Ruff. But when you get an 8-year extension, when it's a team-friendly deal, great work by Fitz, as we've said, getting these guys back in here, I just have a hard time looking at Timo and wondering about fundamentally, especially without Jack now, and maybe this speaks to changing these top pairings for him, because he's not a burner, right? He is not a guy that's taking the puck and gaining the zone and doing these things with it on his stick. He's going to camp in front of the net. He's going to play some physicality. He's going to get off some good shots. But I just look at Timo right now, 12 games, 3 goals, 6 assists. I guess it's not terrible. But if you came into the year and you told me that he would be your 5th highest point total right now, like I expected him to be top 3 probably. Now Tyler Toffoli gets there and he's been phenomenal. But I need, am I wrong here? Like, because I brought this up and I think you gave me I think you're going to give me some pushback. If it doesn't have to be in the stat sheet, but I need to see you be one of the defensively aware offensive players where the Devils have struggled a lot. I need you to be a calming force, and I don't know if I'm getting that from you, especially over these first 2 games without Jack.
He was one of the best players for the Devils against the Avs. He
Yep,
did
I
play
know, I
very
know.
well. No, I agree with you. I think now is the time for him to earn his money, right? To earn his contract. Now that Jack and Nico are out, you have to step up in a big way. And Tyler Toffoli has done it, and he's on a 1-year deal. This is one of our
Yeah.
guys that's going to be here and be the future of this team. He is here for 8 years. He's with Jack for another 7 years. He's with Jesper Bratt for another 7 years. This is the core of your team. He's with Nico for another 4. So this is the core of your team that you want to see make a massive impact. So I do agree with you. I disagree in a way just because I do think he's played a lot better,
Yes,
but
agreed.
stepping up, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. He needs to step up. He needs to do those things that are going to be extremely noticeable. And he needs to be a playmaker. If that means being an agitator the way he was to the Rangers in the playoffs, so be it. Be that agitator. Get under the skin of the opposition. Score goals. I liked his goal against the Avs because it was quick. It was sneaky. He didn't. He was quick with the puck. It looked like he was going to pass the puck, and he shot and he scored. Those are the dirty type of goals that I think that he can make happen. So he does need to step up. And for Palat, listen, I'm the first one to admit it. I was so wrong. I said to you that I thought he was going to come out and he was going to have offensive numbers for the first dozen games to 15 games, and he has crapped the bed. He has completely crapped the bed, and it's probably my biggest disappointment right now in the young season for an offensive player that is a veteran, that you expect a lot from. But listen, he's the type of guy that he knows that it's game to game and he can turn it on and he can turn it around. I think the same way we think for Holtz that he's kind of put in a position, not necessarily to fail now because he's playing well on the 4th line. I don't think Palat is built to be a first-line guy. I just don't. Yeah. He's a third-line guy, and he needs to be that. If you look at his career stats, he was never a big goal scorer, big point getter, for the Lightning. He was a guy that was going to be consistent physically. He was going to forecheck. He was going to be strong on the puck, and he was going to get his points, and he was a playoff guy. It's one of the big reasons why the Devils got him too. He succeeded in the playoffs. So we got to see it from him. We got to see that his game needs to be way, way, way better. And for Timo, I'm going to agree with you.
It's just been one of the starts this season. Coming up here in a second, we'll close out by talking about the other guy. And guess what? Wouldn't you know it? So many of the players, they're all young, and we have set really high bars. Dawson Mercer, what does he need to do now in the absence of some of these key players? It looks like you want to say step up moment for him. He's 22 years old. We'll dive in on that conversation coming up here in just one moment. First, we're going to remind you about our friends over at DraftKings. That's because the NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking up new customers with an offer that's even stronger. Bet just $5 on any game this week and score $200 instantly in bonus bets, and DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every single game day throughout the month of November. No need to touch the Carolina-Chicago game on Thursday night. That seems fraught with peril. But what if I told you that you could go ahead and take your pick, Detroit visiting LA Chargers, -3.5 for Detroit on the road. Chargers coming off a big win against the Jets. Who would you take in that one?
I actually like the Chargers at home. I think the Lions are a great team, but I do like the Chargers with the points at home.
They need some type of late season push here to get themselves on track. A disappointing team overall to start the year in the Chargers. By the way, though, you can get in on all this game day action by downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code
THPN.
New customers can get $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet just $5 on the NFL. That's promo code
THPN.
Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.100gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hills Casino and Resort. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. 21 plus. Age varies by jurisdiction. Void in our friends to the north, Ontario, Canada. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. And resources that we like to pull from, Danny, is someone that can step up for the Devils in the absence of key players. Dawson Mercer. Dawson, this is a funny one for me, man. We want to say that it's been disappointing and that he needs to step up and needs to play better. Listen, the biggest category here is that he has 1 goal through 12 games and no assists. The thing that he's done really well, and I'm not just trying to find something, he's won 20. He has a 57.5 win percentage on faceoffs. That is actually really important. And it begs the question here for me. going back to the top for you and getting Alexander Holtz up this rotation, do you feel like a part of those top 2 line pairings could actually be the benefit of McLeod, who Holtz has played with, and Dawson Mercer? Let's win some faceoffs in the offensive zone, and let's have some real firepower to put these pucks in the back of the net.
Yeah, I think the Devils are top 3 NHL teams in faceoffs in general. I think that they're a great team, at the center ice position when it comes to winning faceoffs and giving their offensive guys opportunities to score goals. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. For me, it's Dawson Mercer on a contract year. He's going to be getting a decent contract at the end of the year, but to have one goal, and you look at Toffoli, who's a free agent after this year too, it's Dawson Mercer's stock is down, and he's such a great player, and I'm really waiting for him to turn it on. I know you are too, and we see the skill that he has. He's been snake bitten a little bit with some of the plays in front of the net. He has good positioning in front of the net. You saw last night with the Avs actually too. Tuesday night with the Avs actually too. So it's the goals are going to come. For me now, it's more of just the mental capacity that he needs to know that the goals are going to come and to continue to play his game. I don't want him to get off his game. He's a young kid. Let's remember how young he is. He's not a veteran. He's a young kid still that's basically having a sophomore slump in his junior year. It's really what's happening. And we have to give him not necessarily a pass, but we have to be patient with him. And he is one of the players, I don't know if you agree with this, that I'm okay with being patient with, because I do think that he is going to get a contract from the Devils. And I do think that he will be an important piece moving forward in the next handful of years.
Yeah, we talked about Alexander Holtz like this offseason. We talk about even Luke Hughes in the same way. Guys that are high profile inside the system, guys that are young. And Dawson, who is just 22, as I said, but he's been around now for a couple of seasons, as you said, in his 3rd year. So in your mind, I think you associate him. Same thing maybe with Ball as well. Like we all have now set this bar because last season was successful, that now some of these young guys need to just become the veteran, become the stabilizer. And that's something that does take time. So while we wait for those leaps, it's good to note that the Devils have won more games than they've lost. It's good to note that they'll be back home against the Caps. And on Friday, you can come right back here to the Devils Puck Luck podcast, where we'll give a game-specific preview. Who can step up? Where are the matchups we can win? And do we have any concerns defensively for this team against a winnable, gettable Washington roster? How do you make sure that the Devils continue to feather this line here in the absence of Jack Hughes and in the absence of Nico Hischier? Until next time, guys, Danny gets us out the door with a quick quip off the top of his head.
No mercy from Mercer. He's going to score some goals on Friday. Let's go.
Woo! We'll see you next time.